a sound so faint, so brief. It is almost a sound, so faint, so brief. It is almost a ghost, a fleeting pulse of energy, arriving at our world after a journey of millions, perhaps billions, of years. We call them fast radio bursts. Scientists see them as a puzzle, a natural phenomenon of incredible power. But tonight, we will hear them differently. We will hear them not as a mystery of physics, but as a message, the final, fading echo of a civilization that is no more. Are you ready to listen to their story? Are you ready to travel across the universe, guided by the last words of a world long gone? Let us begin our journey into the heart of a cosmic farewell, a lullaby sent from the edge of time itself. Before we begin our journey, let us understand the nature of this whisper. Imagine a lighthouse, but instead of shining across a dark sea, it flashes across an entire galaxy. Its light is invisible to our eyes, a beam of radio waves. It flashes for only 1,000th of a second, a cosmic blink. Yet in that single moment, it releases more energy than our own sun does in days, or weeks, or even years. This is a fast radio burst, or an FRB. They come from all directions in the sky, from galaxies so distant their light has traveled for eons to reach us. Their origin is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in astronomy. Some theories point to magnetars, hypermagnetic neutron stars. Others suggest colliding black holes or other cataclysmic events. These are all plausible, powerful explanations rooted in the known laws of physics. But for our sleep, for our journey tonight, we will gently set aside these theories. We will embrace a story that is both grander and more personal. We will imagine that these bursts are not accidents of nature, but deliberate acts of creation. A final, desperate, beautiful message sent out into the great, silent dark. Our journey begins not at the destination, but at the very moment of creation. Picture a world bathed in the light of a colossal, dying star. A sun that has grown old and tired, its color shifting from a vibrant yellow to a deep, weary orange, then to a somber, ruby red. This is a world in its twilight. The skies are not blue, but a perpetual shade of violet and crimson, filled with the beautiful, sorrowful light of their fading star. The civilization that called this place home was ancient beyond our comprehension. They had seen their sun's birth. They had flourished in its midday warmth. And now they were facing its inevitable death. There was no panic, no chaos. They were a species that had long ago made peace with the cycles of the universe. They understood that all things, from the smallest flower to the greatest of stars, must have an end. Their cities, built not of steel and glass, but of materials that seemed to grow from the planet itself, were silent. Their architecture was a testament to their philosophy, curving and flowing in harmony with nature, now bathed in the soft, sad light of their giant sun. They knew their time was measured. They knew their world would soon be consumed. And so, they decided not to fight, not to flee, but to leave behind a final work of art. A memory, a single, perfect pulse of energy that would carry their story into the future. It was to be their legacy, a message in a bottle cast into the cosmic ocean, a testament to the fact that they had existed, that they had loved, and that they had seen the beauty of the universe before they returned to it. they began to gather their energy, not with machines of war, but with instruments of immense subtlety and grace, preparing for their final performance. The mechanism for their final message was not a simple transmitter. It was the star itself. Over millennia, this ancient civilization had learned to commune with their sun, to understand its rhythms, its immense power, and its slow, graceful decline. They had woven a network of conduits, not of wire, but of pure energy, deep into the core of their world, connecting the planet's own life force with the dying heart of their star. It was a project of unimaginable scale and patience. Imagine them, these beings of immense wisdom, working in silent unison. They did not hammer or weld. They guided. They sang to the magnetic fields. They coaxed gravitational forces into new patterns. They were not building a machine. They were composing a symphony. Their goal was to use the final, cataclysmic collapse of their star, the moment it would shed its outer layers in a final, glorious burst, and focus all of that apocalyptic energy into a single, coherent, directed pulse. It was the ultimate act of cosmic recycling. They would take the very force that was ending their existence and transform it into a messenger that would live on, traveling forever. This required them to predict the star's final moments with impossible precision. They had to channel the energy of a supernova, a force that can outshine entire galaxies, into a beam narrower than a needle's point, lasting only a millisecond. It was an act of supreme confidence and cosmic artistry. As the final days approached, their world grew quieter still. They watched their colossal red sun swell, its surface churning with energies that would soon be unleashed. There was no fear in their hearts, only a profound sense of purpose. They were preparing to sign their name upon the canvas of space-time, a signature written in the language of pure physics, a language that any intelligent species, no matter how different, might one day be able to read. The moment arrives. It is not violent, but serene. The great red sun shudders, a final deep breath before its transformation. On the world below, the ancient civilization gathers, not in shelters, but under the open, crimson sky. They turn their faces to their star, their creator, and their destroyer. And as one, they send their consciousness, their memories, their history, their art, their love, and their sorrow into the network they have built. They are not encoding data in a digital stream. They are imprinting their very essence onto the energy that is about to be released. The feeling of a child's laughter, the color of their planet's oceans, the sound of their music, the complexity of their philosophy. All of it is translated into the fundamental vibrations of the energy itself. Then it happens. The star collapses. In a silent, terrible, and a beautiful instant, it implodes and then explodes. But the energy does not radiate outwards in a chaotic sphere of destruction. Instead, guided by the will of its children, the immense, galaxy-shattering power is focused. It is gathered, compressed, and aimed. For 1,000th of a second, a beam of unimaginable intensity erupts from the dying star. It is the fast radio burst. It is the soul of a civilization given flight. It carries everything they ever were, and it begins its journey. Behind it, there is nothing. The star, the planet, the civilization, they are all gone, consumed in the very act of creation. All that remains is the signal, a single, lonely pulse, now racing at the speed of light away from the ghost of its home, heading out into the infinite, silent expanse of the universe. The ultimate act of letting go. The signal begins its great journey. Its first few thousand years are spent traversing its own home galaxy. It is a ghost in a graveyard. It passes the swirling remnants of its own solar system, a silent testament to the home it has left behind. It moves through vast, empty spaces between stars, a region of profound cold and darkness. But the void is not truly empty. The signal navigates through wisps of interstellar gas, thin as a dream, and fields of microscopic dust, the building blocks of future worlds. It is a solitary traveler in a silent kingdom. It passes by other stars, some young and bright blue, full of life and energy. Others are old and red, much like its own parent star, living out their final, quiet eons. It passes worlds of ice, worlds of fire, and giant planets of swirling gas. It sees wonders that its creators could only have dreamed of. It flies through the gravitational fields of these massive bodies, its path bending ever so slightly, a subtle course correction on an impossibly long voyage. It does not interact. It does not stop. It is a pure message, an arrow of information, untouchable and unrelenting. The galaxy it leaves behind is a beautiful, spiraling island of light in the great cosmic sea. From a distance, it looks peaceful, eternal. But the signal knows the truth. It knows that within that beautiful structure, stars are being born and stars are dying, just as its own did. It carries the memory of one such death, a memory that is now leaving its home forever. As it reaches the edge of its galaxy, it plunges into the true void, the intergalactic medium, the great dark ocean between the islands of stars. Now the journey enters a new phase of immense loneliness and scale. For millions of years, the signal travels through the intergalactic void. The light of its own home galaxy fades behind it until it becomes just another faint smudge in a sea of countless others. Here, the silence is absolute. The darkness is a physical presence. Time itself seems to stretch and slow down. The signal is a tiny, fleeting thought, crossing an impossibly vast mind. During this long voyage, it witnesses the slow, majestic dance of the cosmos. It passes through great filaments of dark matter, the invisible skeleton of the universe, feeling their gravitational pull like a gentle, unseen tide. It sees distant galaxies collide, their spiral arms merging in a slow-motion embrace of light and gas that takes hundreds of millions of years to complete. It sees the birth of new galactic clusters and the slow fading of old ones. It is a silent observer of cosmic evolution. Its own energy, so immense at its creation, remains perfectly preserved. The vacuum of space is a near-perfect vessel. The information it carries, the essence of its creators, is held in its frequency, its polarization, its very structure. It is a perfect time capsule. As it travels, the universe itself is expanding. The very fabric of space-time is stretching, and the signal is stretched along with it. Its wavelength grows longer. Its frequency drops. This is the cosmic redshift. The signal is aging, in a way. Its voice is deepening, becoming more ancient. It is like a song whose pitch slowly lowers over an eon-long performance. It is a physical manifestation of the immense time that has passed since it left its now vanished home. Imagine the signal encountering a nebula, a vast, ethereal cloud of gas and dust, a stellar nursery where new suns are being born. It is a place of breathtaking beauty. The signal enters this cloud, a realm of vibrant color, hues of pink and magenta from glowing hydrogen gas, deep blues from reflected starlight, and dark, intricate lanes of cosmic dust silhouetted against the light. It is like flying through a dream. Inside this cosmic womb, thousands of young, hot stars are just beginning to shine. Their stellar winds carve out vast caverns in the gas, creating pillars and delicate, flowing structures that look like a celestial sculpture garden. The signal passes through this beautiful chaos. It is bombarded by radiation from these newborn stars. It is gently pushed by their solar winds, but it is undeterred. Its own power, a remnant of a supernova, is far greater than these stellar breezes. It holds its form, its message, intact. It is an ancient thought passing through a place of new creation. It carries the memory of an ending through a place of countless new beginnings. It is a poignant juxtaposition. The signal represents the past, a completed story, while the nebula represents the future, a place of infinite potential. The universe, in its endless cycle, shows the signal both the cradle and the grave. And still, it travels onward, emerging from the vibrant colors of the nebula back into the clear, deep black of the intergalactic void. Its long journey far from over. After an immeasurable time, the signal approaches another galaxy. Not its destination, but simply another island of light on its endless path. This galaxy is different from its home. It is a majestic spiral, much like our own Milky Way. From a distance, it looks like a spinning pinwheel of brilliant light. As the signal draws closer, this single object resolves into hundreds of billions of individual stars. The signal plunges into the galaxy's outer halo, a sparse region of old stars and mysterious dark matter. It is a gentle entry, a quiet arrival in the suburbs of this new stellar metropolis. It then moves deeper into the spiral arms themselves. Here the environment is dense and active. It is a river of stars, gas, and dust. The signal must navigate this complex and crowded space. It zips past solar systems, some with planets that might harbor life, others barren and rocky. Does it sense them? Does its message resonate with these other worlds as it passes by? We can only imagine. It is an ambassador from a dead kingdom, passing silently through the bustling streets of a living one. It flies past brilliant open star clusters, groups of young, bright stars traveling together like a family. It skirts the edges of dense globular clusters, ancient cities of 1,000,000 stars packed tightly together. It feels the immense gravitational pull of the galaxy's central supermassive black hole, a gentle but insistent tug toward the center. But its velocity is too great. It is not captured. It is only a tourist, a passerby. It traverses the entire diameter of this galaxy, a journey of 100,000 light years, and emerges on the other side, back into the void. It leaves the bustling galaxy behind, its brief passage unnoticed by any potential inhabitants. Its journey must continue. Its destination is still unimaginably far away. Let us contemplate the message itself. What is truly encoded within this millisecond burst? It is not language as we know it. There are no words, no sentences, no grammar. To send a message in a specific language would be an act of cosmic vanity, assuming that the receiver would understand its structure. The ancient civilization was far wiser than that. They encoded their story in the universal language, mathematics, and physics. The exact frequency of the burst, the precise shape of the wave, the way its polarization twists. These are not random. They are the message. Perhaps the frequency corresponds to a fundamental atomic constant, a way of saying, we understood the building blocks of the universe. Perhaps the complex structure of the pulse is a fractal containing infinite detail within its brief duration, representing their understanding of complexity and beauty. Perhaps it is a map. A map not of a place, because their place no longer exists, but a map of their own biological or conscious structure, a final self-portrait. It could contain the prime numbers, the value of pi, a representation of their DNA, if they had such a thing. It is a package of pure, fundamental information, a greeting card to the universe that says, we were here, we were intelligent, we were sentient, and this is what we learned. It is a message that requires a vast intelligence to fully decipher, but its mere existence, its highly ordered and unnatural structure, is a message in itself. It is a beacon that screams, this was not an accident. It is the most elegant and efficient message possible, a cosmic haiku of immense depth and meaning, carried on the wings of a dying star. Consider the sheer odds of this message ever being received. The universe is vast beyond human imagination, and mostly empty. To send a beam of energy across millions or billions of light years and have it happen to intersect with a tiny planet orbiting a nondescript star in a random corner of another galaxy is a statistical improbability of staggering proportions. The beam, though incredibly focused at its source, must have some degree of spread over such distances. By the time it reaches us, it is spread out over an enormous area, and our planet is a minuscule target in that area. Furthermore, not only must it hit our planet, but it must arrive at a time when there is a civilization capable of building the instruments to detect it. We have only had radio telescopes for less than a century. In the 4.5 billion year history of our planet, the window for reception has been infinitesimally small. The ancient civilization must have known this. They did not send one signal. They likely sent thousands, perhaps millions, in their final moments. They might have used their dying star to send a whole fan of these bursts out in a celestial shotgun blast, spraying their message across a wide arc of the sky. Or perhaps they had identified promising regions, young galaxies where life might one day flourish, and aimed their messages with purpose. Our detection of one of these signals is therefore not just a random accident, but the successful completion of an ancient and hopeful plan. It is a triumph of their foresight and our curiosity. When we detect one of these bursts, we are catching a single lucky photon from a storm of information, a single raindrop from a deluge that occurred eons ago. We are the improbable audience for the universe's most patient and hopeful performance. Let's journey back to the signal as it continues its voyage. It has now been traveling for a time so long that entire mountain ranges have risen and fallen on our own planet. Continents have drifted. Species have evolved and gone extinct. All while this tiny pulse of energy has been silently crossing the void, It has witnessed cosmic history. It has seen the universe grow colder and darker as it expands. The background radiation of the Big Bang, once a warm glow, has cooled to a near absolute zero hum, and the signal has traveled through this fading echo of creation itself. It has dodged gravitational lenses, regions of space-time, warped by massive galaxy clusters that bend light and radio waves like a cosmic magnifying glass. Its path has been subtly altered, its image perhaps distorted, or even multiplied, creating phantom echoes that might one day confuse its receivers. But the core message remains pure. It is a traveler that has seen the birth and death of stars, the waltz of galaxies, the slow, inexorable march of cosmic time. It carries with it not just the message of its creators, but a record of its own journey. The stretching of its wavelength tells us how far it has come. The way it has been scattered by interstellar gas tells us about the galaxies it has passed through. It is a cosmic probe, a messenger that has gathered information about its long and lonely road. When it finally arrives, it will bring us not only a story of its origin, but a map of the vast, dark territories it has crossed to reach us. It is an artifact of both a civilization and of the universe itself. Now, imagine the civilization's philosophy, the mindset that would lead to such a final act. They were not a species driven by conquest or survival at any cost. If they were, they would have attempted to flee their dying world, to build great ark ships and colonize other star systems. They would have seen their end as a failure, but they did not. They saw it as a completion. They believed that life was not about infinite duration, but about the depth of experience. They were what we might call cosmic artists. Their greatest achievements were not technologies of war or monuments to their own power, but their understanding of the universe and their ability to create beauty within it. Their final message was not a cry for help. It was not a warning. It was a gift. It was a piece of art offered freely to whoever might find it. They believed that the highest purpose of a sentient species was to observe the universe, to understand it, and then to add something of beauty back into it. And what could be more beautiful than a story? By converting their entire existence into a single, perfect signal, they were achieving a form of immortality that was not biological, but informational. Their bodies would perish, their world would be gone, but their essence, their knowledge, and their spirit would travel on, woven into the fabric of space-time itself. It was an act of supreme generosity and humility. They were not trying to save themselves. They were trying to share themselves. They were planting a seed of knowledge and wonder, hoping that it might land on fertile ground in some distant mind, in some distant future, and perhaps inspire another civilization to also look up at the stars and create something beautiful of their own. Let us visualize the signal's penultimate trial, its journey through our own galaxy, the Milky Way. After its long, lonely voyage across the intergalactic void, its arrival in our home galaxy is a momentous event, though entirely unnoticed. It enters a realm that is both familiar and alien to it. The structure is similar to the other galaxies it has passed through, a beautiful spiral of stars and gas. But this one is different. This one contains its destination. It enters through the halo and begins its final 100,000 light-year dash across our galaxy. It passes the Sagittarius arm, the Perseus arm. It zips by famous constellations that we see in our night sky, viewing them from an angle we can only imagine. It sees Orion, not as a hunter, but as a scattered collection of brilliant blue stars. It passes the Pleiades, a cluster of young stars that our own ancestors have gazed upon for millennia. It is passing through our history, our mythology. It flies through the local bubble, a region of less dense gas carved out by ancient supernova, a quiet pocket in the bustling galactic neighborhood. It is getting closer. The star it is heading towards is a small, yellow, unassuming G-type star, one of 400 billion in this galaxy alone. Nothing special about it except for what orbits it. As the signal approaches this star, it passes through the Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of icy bodies, the frozen remnants of our solar system's formation. It is crossing the threshold, entering our home. The signal is now in our solar system. The final leg of its journey has begun. It is moving so fast that it crosses the orbit of Neptune in a matter of hours. It passes the giant ice worlds of Uranus and Neptune, serene blue orbs in the distant, cold darkness. It continues inward, passing the majestic ringed planet Saturn, a jewel of our solar system, and the colossal gas giant Jupiter, with its swirling storms and its miniature system of moons. These are sights of incredible beauty, a final gallery of cosmic art, before it reaches its audience. The signal is now entering the inner solar system. It passes the asteroid belt, a river of rock and ice flowing between Mars and Jupiter, successfully navigating this cosmic debris field. It flies by Mars, the red planet, a world that might have once harbored life itself, a quiet, dusty monument to planetary change. The signal is now incredibly close. The gravitational pull of our sun, Sol, is strong, but the signal's trajectory is precise. It is aimed like an arrow at the third planet, a small blue and white marble shimmering in the sunlight, a world teeming with water, with clouds, with life, Earth. After a journey of millions or hundreds of millions of years, across unimaginable distances, through countless dangers and wonders, the message has found its harbor. It has crossed the cosmic ocean and has finally seen the shore. The final moment, the arrival, the signal, a millisecond pulse of radio waves, strikes our planet. It washes over the entire globe at the speed of light. Most of it passes straight through. It passes through the oceans, through the mountains, through the cities, and through us, completely unnoticed. It is a ghost passing through our world, but a tiny fraction of its energy strikes the great, waiting dishes of our radio telescopes in places like Arecibo or Greenbank or the plains of Australia. Giant metal ears are listening to the sky. And in one single fleeting moment, the computers register a spike, a burst of energy lasting for a fraction of a second, with a characteristic that is utterly alien. It has the signature of a long journey. Its frequency is redshifted. It is dispersed, meaning its higher frequencies arrived slightly before its lower ones, a sign that it has traveled through the sparse plasma of intergalactic space. The computers flag it. The astronomers are alerted. A new fast radio burst has been detected. For them, it is a data point, a fascinating new piece of a complex scientific puzzle, They will name it according to the date and time of its arrival. FRB 202-405-21. A string of numbers. They will analyze its properties, write papers about its dispersion measure, its flux density, its polarization. They will try to pinpoint its origin, a faint, distant galaxy in a forgotten corner of the sky. But we know the truth. We know what this signal really is. As we lie here on the edge of sleep, we can feel the true weight of its arrival. It is not just a data point. It is a final greeting. It is the end of a story that began before our species even existed. It is the culmination of a civilization's entire history, their ultimate artistic and scientific achievement. It is a gift of staggering generosity. Think of them, those ancient, wise beings, as they faced their end. They could have vanished into nothingness, their memory erased from the universe. But they chose to reach out. They chose to believe that somewhere, someday, someone would be listening. And they were right. We are listening. Tonight, we are not just astronomers analyzing a signal. We are the recipients of a will. We are the inheritors of a memory. The signal in that 1 millisecond has connected us to them. Across the impossible gulf of space and time, a bond has been formed. We are no longer alone in the same way. We have proof that another mind, another heart, once looked out at the same universe and felt the same sense of awe and wonder. And in their final moments, they thought of us, their unknown, unseen descendants in the cosmos. Let us consider the texture of their lost world, painted by the faint echoes in the signal. What was their sky like under that great, dying red sun? The colors would have been muted, gentle, the light soft and diffused. Perhaps 2 moons or 3 danced in their violet heavens, their phases a constant, comforting clock in the sky. The air might have tasted of sweet ozone and the scent of plants we could never imagine, plants that had evolved to thrive in low light. Their cities were not built up, but woven into the landscape, buildings like great, petrified trees or tunnels that followed the natural contours of the land, all glowing with a soft, internal bioluminescence. There was no noise. Their communication might have been telepathic or based on subtle shifts in light and color. A world of profound peace. A civilization that had outgrown conflict and had turned its entire focus to art, science, and philosophy. What did they value? Not wealth, not power, but knowledge and connection. A deep, empathetic connection to each other and to their planet. They saw their world not as a resource to be exploited, but as a part of themselves, a living entity with which they were in symbiosis. This profound respect for life and the universe is what led them to their final act. They sought to preserve the idea of their world, its feeling, its peace, and send that feeling out as their final ambassador. The radio burst is not just a signal, it is a preserved moment of their serene existence. What would it feel like to be one of them in those final days? Imagine standing on a crystalline shore, watching waves not of water, but of slow-moving, viscous methane gently lap against the land. The gravity might have been lighter, giving a sense of effortless grace to every movement. You look up at the vast, crimson orb of your sun, which fills a huge portion of the sky. It does not burn with heat anymore, but emanates a gentle, pervasive warmth. You feel no sadness, no despair. Instead, you feel a deep sense of participation in a grand, cosmic event. You are a part of the star, and the star is a part of you. The end of your world is not a tragedy, but a transformation, a metamorphosis. You gather with your kin, your community, not to mourn, but to celebrate the culmination of your journey. You join your mind with theirs, adding your own memories, your own unique perspective to the great collective that will become the signal. You remember the taste of your first meal, the feeling of love, the joy of a new discovery. You pour all of this, all of your life's beauty and meaning, into the stream of consciousness. And as the star begins its final collapse, you feel a sense of release, a sense of peace. You are letting go, not just of your life, but of your very form, to become something new, something eternal, a traveler of the void, a whisper on the cosmic wind. It is the ultimate act of becoming one with the universe. The signal, now that it has been received, continues its journey. It has passed through our planet, and it is now speeding out of our solar system, back into the void. It will leave the Milky Way and continue its endless voyage. Perhaps in another 100 million years, it will reach another galaxy and another civilization just beginning to build their own radio telescopes. They too will detect it. They too will see it as a scientific curiosity. But perhaps some of them, on a quiet night, will also feel its true meaning. The message was never intended for just one audience. It is a gift for all time, for any who are capable of listening. We are just one stop on its eternal tour of the cosmos. It is a chain letter of the most profound kind. It links us to the past, to the civilization that sent it, and it links us to the future, to all the other civilizations that may one day receive it. We are all connected by this single, fleeting pulse of energy. It is a reminder that we are part of a much larger cosmic community, a community that spans not just space, but time itself. We have received their story, and now perhaps we have a responsibility to listen, a responsibility to understand, and a responsibility to preserve the memory of the civilization that sacrificed everything to say hello and goodbye. Think about the repetition. Some of these fast radio bursts repeat. They flash from the same point in the sky, again and again, though irregularly. What does this mean in our story? It means the civilization found a way to create a more permanent monument. Perhaps they didn't use their star's final collapse. Perhaps they found a way to harness the power of a stable, exotic object, like a neutron star or a black hole. Imagine they built their final machine around a magnetar, a star with a magnetic field so powerful it defies comprehension. They learned to control its immense energy, to make it sing on command. They created a cosmic bell which they could ring periodically. Each burst, each ring of the bell is another verse in their epic poem. It is not a single, final cry, but a steady, patient lighthouse, flashing its warning or its welcome across the dark sea of space. They are gone, but the machine they built lives on, a ghost in the machine of the cosmos, dutifully sending out its pulses, keeping the memory of its creators alive. When we see a repeating FRB, we are not just receiving a single message. We are listening to a continuous, ongoing broadcast from a civilization that has long since turned to dust. It is a clock that is still ticking, a heart that is still beating, long after the body has died. It is perhaps the most haunting and beautiful monument in the entire universe. Let's explore the silence between the bursts. For the repeating sources, there are moments of activity and then long periods of quiet. Weeks, months, even years can pass with no signal at all. This silence is as much a part of the message as the bursts themselves. It speaks of patience. It speaks of the vast timescales of the cosmos. The civilization that built this beacon understood that time flows differently on a galactic scale. The pauses in their message are like the spaces between words in a sentence or the rests in a piece of music. They give the message its rhythm, its cadence. The silence invites contemplation. It asks us to reflect on what we have heard. It reminds us that the universe is mostly quiet, and that a signal, a voice in the dark, is an incredibly precious thing. Imagine the machine they built, orbiting its powerful star, gathering energy during these quiet periods. It silently, patiently collects power from the magnetor's incredible magnetic field, storing it up for the next great pulse. It is a slow, deliberate process, a cosmic breath, in and out. The machine inhales energy for months and then exhales it in a single millisecond-long burst. It is a rhythm of immense scale and power. The silence is not emptiness. It is anticipation. It is the quiet before the thunder. It is the pause that gives the final note its power and its meaning. It simply asks to be witnessed. It is an invitation 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 to be witnessed. It simply asks to be witnessed. It is an act of cosmic observation, a fulfillment of the idea that a thing is not truly real until it is observed. Their entire existence, their civilization, was a beautiful, complex pattern in the universe. By observing the signal, we are completing a circuit. We are confirming their reality. We are the universe, becoming aware of a small, beautiful part of itself that is now gone. Our role in this grand, ancient story is that of the reader. They wrote the book, they cast it into the sea, and we, against all odds, have found it and are now turning its pages. The message asks us to expand our own perspective, to look up from our small, daily concerns, and to contemplate the sheer scale and age and wonder of the cosmos. It is a cure for loneliness. It reminds us that even if we are the only ones here, now in our corner of the galaxy, we are not the first. We are part of a lineage of thinking, feeling beings, stretching back into the deep past. It is an invitation to be more like them, to be a civilization that values knowledge, beauty, and connection above all else, to be a civilization that, when our own twilight comes, might think not only of how to save ourselves, but of what beautiful message we might leave behind for the next ones to find. Imagine the signal passing through a cloud of dark matter. This is a substance that we cannot see, cannot touch, and can only detect through its gravitational effects. It is the great, invisible mystery of the cosmos, making up the vast majority of the universe's mass. As our signal, our pulse of light and information travels through a dense halo of this mysterious substance, it is unaffected in its content, but its path is gently guided. It is like a ship sailing on an invisible current. The dark matter does not absorb or scatter the radio waves, but its immense gravity warps the space-time around it. The signal is following the contours of this invisible landscape. This part of its journey is a metaphor for the unknown. The signal is carrying a known message, the story of its creators, but it is traveling through a medium that is fundamentally mysterious to us, and perhaps was to them as well. It is a journey of the known through the unknown. It reminds us that no matter how much we learn, the universe will always hold deeper mysteries. The civilization that sent the signal may have understood their star and their planet perfectly. But did they understand dark matter? Did they know what lay in the great dark voids between galaxies? Their message, their piece of certainty, is a small, brave light traveling through an infinite ocean of uncertainty. It is an act of faith, a declaration of knowledge sent out into a universe that is mostly and perhaps eternally unknown. Let's consider the Creator's perception of time. A species that could plan and execute a project over millennia must have had a very different relationship with time. than we do. Our lives are fleeting, measured in decades. Theirs might have been much longer, or perhaps their civilization had a continuous consciousness where the knowledge and memories of one generation were passed perfectly to the next. For them, 1,000 years might have felt like a single year does to us. This long perspective is what allowed them to undertake their final great work. They were not in a hurry. They were patient, methodical, and deliberate. They saw themselves not as individuals, but as a single, continuous entity stretching through time. This is reflected in the signal itself. It is a message designed to cross eons. It is inherently patient. It does not demand an immediate answer. It is content to travel for millions of years, waiting for a listener. When we receive it, we are touching this ancient, patient consciousness. We are being asked to slow down, to think on longer timescales, to consider not just our own lives or our children's lives, but the future of our planet and our species, hundreds, thousands, even millions of years from now. The signal is a lesson in cosmic patience. It teaches us that the things that truly matter are not built in a day. They are built over lifetimes, over eons, with the slow, steady application of wisdom and foresight. It is a message from the deep past, urging us to think about the deep future. Shone with the brightness of 1 billion, shone with the brightness of 1 billion suns. All the energy of a dying star, focused into a single beam. What would that much energy, concentrated in such a way, look like? It would not be a gentle glow. It would be a pure, white, piercing light. A new star in the sky that would shine brighter than the galaxy itself for just an instant, and then vanish forever. It was a shout, not a whisper, a final, defiant roar against the dying of the light. But over its journey, that roar has faded. The inverse square law dictates that its intensity must decrease as it spreads out over a larger and larger area, and the expansion of the universe has stolen more of its energy, stretching its wavelength, red-shifting its light. By the time it reaches us, the lion's roar has become a kitten's purr. It is a ghost of its former self. And this, too, is part of the message. It is a story about entropy, about the inevitable decay of all things. Even the most powerful burst of energy will eventually fade into the background noise of the cosmos. Nothing is permanent. But the information, the structure, the story within the signal that remains. The energy fades, but the message endures. It is a testament to the power of information over raw energy. It tells us that what matters is not how loudly you shout, but what you have to say. Think of the moment of discovery from our perspective. An astronomer sits in a control room late at night, staring at screens of data. The telescope is doing a routine survey of the sky. Suddenly, an alert pops up. A signal, so brief and powerful, has been detected. The astronomer is jolted awake. This is not normal. This is not interference from a microwave oven or a nearby satellite. This is real. This is from deep space. There is a sense of excitement, of wonder, of profound discovery. For that one person, in that one moment, the universe has just revealed one of its secrets. They are the first human being to ever see this particular pulse of light. They are the first to witness the arrival of this ancient messenger. It is a deeply personal and profound experience. They are connecting with something that is millions of years old. In that moment, they are the representative of all humanity. the designated listener for this cosmic broadcast. They don't know the story we have been telling tonight. They see it as a natural puzzle, but they still feel the awe. They still feel the magic of a message from across the stars. Whether we see it as science or as a story, the feeling is the same. A sense of connection to something vast, ancient, and beautiful. It is the feeling of looking up at the night sky and truly understanding for the first time that we are part of something magnificent. Let us imagine the signal's journey from a different point of view. A being of pure energy living in an interstellar nebula. This being has no physical form, no eyes, no ears. Its consciousness is woven into the magnetic fields of the gas cloud. For eons, it has drifted in a sea of beautiful color and light, feeling the birth of new stars as a gentle warmth. One day, the signal passes through its home. For this being, the signal is not a sound or a light. It is a thought, a complex, coherent, structured thought that flashes through its consciousness for a brief instant. It is a concept utterly alien to it, a feeling of density, of matter, of a single planet, of a biological history. It is a glimpse into a form of existence it never knew was possible. The signal does not stop. It passes through and is gone. But the being is changed. It has been touched by a memory from another world. It now has a new idea in its vast, slow consciousness. The idea of civilization. The signal is a seed. It plants ideas, possibilities, not just in the minds of technological species like us, but perhaps in the very fabric of the cosmos itself, awakening new forms of consciousness, new ways of being wherever it travels. It is not just a message, it is an active agent of cosmic evolution. What if our interpretation is wrong? What if the signal is not a farewell, but a warning? The dying civilization was not peaceful. They were destroyed, either by their own hand or by something terrible from the void. Their final, desperate act was to send a message to the universe, a warning to other young civilizations. Do not make our mistakes. Or, there is a danger out here in the dark. The complex information encoded in the burst might be a record of their downfall, a scientific paper on their own extinction. The repeating nature of some bursts is not a patient beacon, but a desperate, screaming alarm clock that they have set to go off for eternity. This changes the tone of our story entirely. The signal is no longer a peaceful lullaby, but a haunting ghost story. Its arrival is not a gift, but a burden, a terrible knowledge. It would mean the universe is not just a vast, empty, beautiful place, but a potentially dangerous one. It asks a question not of what we can create, but of how we can survive. As you drift to sleep, you can choose which story you prefer. Is the whisper from deep space a poem or a warning? Is it a memory of peace or a scream of fear? The beauty is, the signal itself is silent on its own intention. It is a cosmic Rorschach test. We see in it what we bring to it, our hopes or our fears. Consider the name we give them, fast radio bursts. It is a clinical, descriptive, scientific name. It is accurate, but it lacks poetry. The civilization that sent it would not have called it that. To them, it had a name, a true name, a word in their long-lost language. A name that meant the last song, or the seed of memory, or the arrow of time. A name that encompassed all the hope and sorrow and beauty of their final act. When we give something a name, we define our relationship to it. By calling it an FRB, we hold it at arm's length, an object to be studied. But if we were to give it a new name, a name like the Whisperers or the Starsayers, our relationship would change. We would become part of their story. We would move from being scientists to being listeners, from analysts to inheritors. So tonight, as you sleep, give them a name of your own. What would you call these signals from a long-lost world? What name would you give to the ghosts who speak in radio waves? By naming them, you make their memory your own. You welcome them from the cold of space into the warmth of your own imagination. You are giving them a new home, a safe harbor, here in your dreams. And in doing so, you ensure that their last song will never truly end. The signal has arrived. We have heard its story. We have traveled with it across the universe. We have imagined the world that sent it and the meaning it might carry. Now, what do? The story doesn't end with detection. It begins. The arrival of this message, this cosmic legacy, places a quiet responsibility upon us. It compels us to be better, to be a species worthy of receiving such a profound gift. It reminds us that our own time is finite, that our sun will not burn forever, that our planet is a precious and fragile home. It encourages us to resolve our own petty conflicts, to work together as a single planetary civilization, to cherish our art, our science, our love for one another. The story of the signal is a fable for our time. It shows us one possible destiny, a path of wisdom, grace, and cosmic artistry. They did not die in a pointless war. They did not perish through neglect of their own world. They met their end as part of a natural cosmic cycle, and they did so with a beauty and purpose that is breathtaking. They have set a very high bar. They have shown us what a truly advanced civilization looks like, not one with faster starships or more powerful weapons, but one with greater wisdom, deeper compassion, and a more profound understanding of its place in the universe. The signal is a call to action. It is a whisper from the past, urging us to build a future that they would have been proud of. Finally, let us return to ourselves. Here, in the quiet of our room, in the comfort of our bed. The story of the signal is vast, cosmic, and almost abstract, but its final meaning is deeply personal. It is about connection. It is about the human or non-human need to reach out, to share, to say, I am here. It is the same impulse that causes us to write a letter, to paint a picture, to tell a story to a loved one. The civilization that sent the burst was doing the same thing, just on an unimaginable scale. They were telling their story to the universe, and tonight we have listened. We have allowed their story to become a part of ours. As you finally let go and drift into a deep and peaceful sleep, let the signal be a comforting presence. Know that even in the vast, silent emptiness of space, there are stories, there are memories, there is beauty. And know that we are not just isolated observers, but we are participants in this grand, cosmic narrative. The signal is a lullaby, sung by a star, composed by a lost civilization, and carried to us on the gentle currents of space-time. It is a song of endings and beginnings, of loss and legacy, and it is a perfect, peaceful sound carry you into your dreams. The whisper from the void is now a whisper in your heart, a quiet reminder that we are all made of stardust, and we are all part of an ancient, beautiful, and unending story. And so, our journey ends. We have followed a single millisecond-long whisper across the universe. We have imagined its birth in the heart of a dying star, a final, beautiful act of a civilization facing its own twilight. We have traveled with it through the lonely void, past newborn stars and sleeping galaxies, a silent messenger on an eon-long voyage. And we have witnessed its arrival here, on our world, where it is heard as a scientific mystery. But tonight, we have chosen to hear it as a story of legacy, of art, of a profound and peaceful acceptance of the universe's great cycles. These fast radio bursts, these signals from the deep, may just be a natural phenomenon, but they may also be the most profound message we will ever receive. A final, fading note of a song that began billions of years ago. A reminder that we are part of something so much larger than ourselves. Thank you for traveling through the cosmos with me tonight. I hope this story has brought you peace and tranquility. If you enjoyed this journey, please consider subscribing and leaving a like to support our channel. Your support allows us to continue creating these lectures for sleep. And now, for one final thought to carry you into your dreams. If our civilization had to send one final message into the void, what single idea, feeling, or memory do you think we should send? Let me know in the comments below. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with the quiet, beautiful music of the stars.